Yeah, and a look back 80 years ago now, a veteran has been remembering the moment a Japanese kamikaze plane smashed into the deck of the aircraft carrier he was serving on in the final months of the Second World War.
As part of the BBC's We Were There project aimed at capturing the memories of veterans, 98-year-old Bob Batty has been talking to our reporter, Steve Humphrey.
Now for the first time we show actual shots of these amazing kamikaze attacks, filmed at extreme peril.
Our job was to stop the kamikazes and that coming over while the landings was going on, you know. The American Marines and all that landing there. And that's when we got hit.
For 8 hours, the tense and terrifying battle for survival went on. The carrier is hit. They're not disabled.
7:30 in the morning it was, we got hit. Straight in, coming down, you know, right in the middle of the flight deck.
Bob Batty has never forgotten the moment a Japanese kamikaze plane crashed onto the aircraft carrier he was serving on in the Far East.
You dive for cover everywhere, you know, because people were busy then and all. And we never had any tin helmets on the flight deck. You had a little cotton thing on your head, you know.
It happened during the Battle of Okinawa on April the 1st, 1945, when HMS Indefatigable was providing air support to the American Marines. It was the very first time a British aircraft carrier was hit by a kamikaze. Bob from Bulford in Wiltshire was an armourer in the Fleet Air Arm, responsible for maintaining the aircraft's guns and loading them with bombs and torpedoes. 21 men were killed when the kamikaze struck. Many more were injured, including Bob, who was hit by several pieces of metal.
The old medics come in, bandage you all up and the rest of it, you know. And one ear somewhere, I think it is. I got one on there and one under here and on my leg, you know. And that was the worst one because, well, I've had to wear stockings ever since, you know, keep my blood going. I got these pressure stockings I have to wear. All the veins went.
Bob's ship, HMS Indefatigable, was built during the war. At the time, the Navy's biggest and fastest aircraft carrier. Before going out to the Far East, it was involved in protecting convoys. And famously, her aircraft were involved in attacks on the German battleship, the Tirpitz. There were a lot of accidents.
Mainly it was crashes. Bloody awful it was then, you know, up and down.
To this day, Bob remembers a tragedy when one plane crashed on top of another on the flight deck.
And of course he lost the wind a bit and he landed straight on the other one. And of course the pilot had his head out.
Bob watched as the pilot of one plane was decapitated and his two best mates were also killed.
All in the same incident?
Yeah, 3 of them, they're buried in Scapa Flow. I dreamt about it for years.
It was 80 years ago, but it remains fresh in his mind.
Is it the same now as it was at the time, all those years ago?
Yeah. His last words were to me, "Help me, Bob." And then he went like, you know. That's what got me.
Bob's war ended in the Far East. After the experiences at Okinawa, HMS Indefatigable sailed to Tokyo Bay for the Japanese surrender.
We were on our way and the captain gave out, anybody on the flight decks, look to the port side, you'll see King George V flying the signal, cease hostilities against the Japanese. And of course everybody's cheering, you know, and all that.
After the war, Bob had a long career in the fire service in Wiltshire. He says he'll never forget the mates who didn't come home. Steve Humphrey, BBC News.
Yeah, and we should say our sincere thanks to Bob Batty for sharing his extraordinary story and the emotions that he still feels so clearly all this time later.
Absolutely. It's so important to hear those stories, and that's exactly what We Were There, the project being run by the BBC, is all about. The aim is getting as many of those first-hand accounts from surviving veterans as possible.
Yeah, it's worth saying if you have a story to share or know someone who does, do please get in touch. You can see the details on the screen now.